Right. So far, we have discussed under System and Network Administration, Introduction to System and Network Administration, installing an operating system. Right. So how to get the command line? Click on this. This is called dash, and get a terminal. Okay. And if you want to go into the files and so on, there's a file explorer also, but we will stick with the command line as much as possible. Okay. Right. Right. So let's. So I gave you few hints last time. For example, when you log in, you get a terminal, okay, and also check whether your internet is working, because when you're installing software and so on, you need the internet connectivity. So usually that is if you have the Wi-Fi or any other connectivity for your laptop or computer, automatically that is available. Okay, that is available. But if there are any issues, you can go to the settings and double check. Okay. Right. So in my case, internet is working. Internet is working. Right. So what are the few commands? What are the very basic commands? First of all, you must familiar. There are a lot of commands that we are going to cover today. The number one command is who am I? Who am I? That is what is the current user. Because at any time you can change your user from one user to another user in the command line. Okay. Switch user, SU command. But for that, you must first create some user accounts. But this is the user account that I created at the software installation of the uh, Ubuntu, right? Ubuntu. So later I will create few more user accounts as well. Who am I? Then where are you? Print working directory, PWD. Okay. So that is in my case, I'm in home Nalaka. In Linux, there's something called root. So that is this. And under root, we have home. And under home, for each user, there's a folder, right? You can go there from here also. File Explorer. This is my home. Home means user home, right? Home means user home. Okay. So there, can we go to the next level? I don't know whether we can go to the root from here. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so this is basically the root. Okay, this is basically the root. So you can see there are some other folders like bin, boot, dev, etc. This is home. So under home, there's a folder called Nalaka because I have login using the user account Nalaka. So similarly, if you log in using something like ABC, under home, there will be a folder called ABC. So that is your personal folder. Okay. So right now, my command line is under home. Sorry, under Nalaka. So if I go one level up, it will be home. And if I go one level up, it will be root. Okay. So how to go do that? CD, just like same as DOS command. So CD dot dot means one level up. So that I will be ended up in home. You can say I'm in the home. And again, if I go one level up, dot dot, now I am in the root. So if I type print working directory, you can see that you are in the root. And what are the folders in the root? So these are the folders: bin, boot, CD, ROM, dev. So you can find what are the folders and files available. Just type ls. I can see bin, CD, ROM, etc. Okay. Or if you need more details, ls minus -l long. So more details about your files and folders like privileges, whether that is a link or not. Anyway, we will be looking at all these things today. Right? First of all, you must be familiar with these things. So that is why I asked you to send a message to the group saying, make sure you have installed so that you can parallelly do these things. And of course, you had Linux in semester 1. So therefore, those who did it in practical manner, of course, this is not a big thing right now. Okay. Right. So now I'm in the root. At any time, if you want to go to your home, right, home, just type CD and title character. Title character means your home. Okay. So now if I type print working directory, I'm in home Nalaka because that is my home. So title character means what? User home. So if you want to go to the root at any time, cd slash. So that is you are directly going to the root again. Now if I type print working directory, I am in the root. Okay, I am in the root. Okay. First thing is you must familiar with, right, using the command line. Right, using the command line. That is a must. Okay, that is a must. Right, so let me open the note also parallelly so that we don't miss anything. Linux host management. I shared you the note. It will share properly. I hope you can get this, okay? Right, so why are we really interested in working with Linux command line? Because remember this Linux is heavily used as servers, web servers, database servers, and also routers, proxy servers, and so on. So there, our main focus is performance. So when you are interested in performance, we want to give all your resources, hardware resources to your programs, processors, like your web server, database server. So how do you make sure that all your hardware resources are utilized by your programs or processors? Don't install UI operating system because user interface take resources, lot of resources. So therefore, in servers, we always install command line operating system, right? Linux command line. So you can download the command line version for any version, any operating system, Linux. You can download uh, Ubuntu command line, Fedora command line, which is smaller installation and faster installation. And also when you start up your operating system, it take less resources. So as a network and system administrator or software engineer, so one of your tasks is using command line, connect to your production servers, QA servers, set up those things, deploy your applications, set up your databases. So that is something every IT professional need to do. Right? So basically those servers, you don't have UI. Only the command line is there. So therefore, you must be able to survive 100% using commands. That is something that is tested in your exams. Okay. Right. So these are the subtopics we will be interested. User management, files and folder or directory management, program or process management, some security aspects, network configurations, automating system tasks. That is basically your entire syllabus, okay? But today we are more focusing on user management and file and folder management. Okay, user management and file and folder management. And at any time, if you want more information, more details, just let me know. Ideally, you must have Linux right now, and you must do these things with me, or at least after the class, uh, do these things with the help of the note, and also maybe you can get the help of recordings. Okay, right. And a lot of questions in your exam paper will be covered from today's session. Okay, from today's session. So today's session is the most important session. Right. So how to get the command line? Go to the dash and get the terminal. Okay, so that I explain you. So in Linux, you call it terminal. Okay. Folders are called directories. Slightly different terminology we use. Right. So usually in Windows, we call it command prompt, command line. But in Linux, we call it terminal. Okay. So this is called dash. Okay, like a desktop. Right. So I already explained you the who am I command and pwd command. And also you must be able to freely move from one place to the other. Go to root, go to your user home. Okay. And also if you want, you can customize your command line to make it different color, different font size, and so on. All these are available. Okay. right click in the terminal area and go for preferences. And also when you're working with the terminal, your up and down arrow keys will have the historical command that you typed, which is very handy. Otherwise, you need to keep typing. Okay. And also when you have a command and maybe one of the parameter is a file name or something, maybe you can just type the first or first and second characters and use tab. It will auto-fill the file name if there's a file with those characters. Okay, if there are too many files, just narrow down it by typing more and more letters and tabbing. Okay, and if you want to clear the terminal, just type clear and enter. Okay, right. So there are situations. Now remember when you install your Ubuntu operating system, so they create a user account for you. So that is by default not the system user. It's a normal user. Right? Or in Windows terminology, it is not admin user. Okay. So the Linux philosophy is there are two options. One is when you want to do installation and so on, some administrative tasks. One option is change your user, switch as the admin user. Of course, for that you must have created the admin user and do those things and again switch it logo from your admin user. Okay. The second option is, especially in Ubuntu, you have the sudo command. So when you type a particular command, if you type it together with sudo, and if your user is a sudo user means you have bit of admin privilege, but not by default. So to get that bit of admin privilege, you need to type that command with sudo command. Okay, like sudo ls, sudo dir. But I don't have to do that because when I type print working directory, right? Who am I? Those are not admin commands. Those are normal commands. So therefore, I never type them with sudo. So for example, I don't need to type something like sudo print working directory because print working directory command is a normal command that any user has access. But if I'm doing some administrative commands, I will always type sudo and that command. So that means I am temporarily assigning some admin privileges to just to execute that particular command. Okay. So therefore, time to time, you will see that some commands I will just type it, some other commands I will type together with sudo. Okay. By default, when you create a user in the installation, that user has the sudo privilege. Okay, sudo privilege. Okay. Right. So this is the Linux directory structure, typical directory structure. There's something called root. Under that, you have the home. Under home, for different users, you have the folders. And that is where they are individual folders. And then you have etc, media, USR. Under USR, you have the bin, lib, sbin. Under var, you have the log. So you must be familiar with these folders. Remember, this paper is difficult. So don't expect that you will be automatically pass this exam. No, it's a super difficult paper. But if you study, it's very easy paper. But if you think that, okay, I can study in the last 3 weeks and pass, no, that is not possible. So if you really study from beginning and if you do things practically, this subject is very relatively easy to pass. But if you don't do practical things, if you try to do this at the very last moment, it's near impossible to pass. Okay, right. So that just keep it in mind. So you must be familiar with these folders, right? And the other best thing you can do is very quickly go through some past papers. Not doing past papers, just go through the questions and get a feeling of what kind of expectation is there. Okay, because this final year, the expectation is high. So they expect that you master these topics because this is degree level. Okay, you master these topics. You are very serious about these topics. Okay. So these are some important directories. root directory, home, boot. So you must know bit of understanding what are the purpose, what is the main purpose of a particular folder. Like for example, home is the user home. Boot directory keep the Linux kernel and bootloaders. etc. Lot of configuration files are kept here. So when you are configuring software and so on, and also configuring network routers. So this is the place to go. And bin and USR bin. So those are just like the Windows common library folder for the bin program files folder. Like your applications will be installed into the bin folders. Application, just like the program files in Windows. Okay. And libbs contain shared libraries, shared among different programs. Temp is to keep temporary files, because in some software installation and so on, there are some temporary files which sometimes at the end of the installation, they delete it. Or time to time, you can delete it. So those temporary files are kept in TMP. Usually those files are cleaned up by the software, but there can be situation the software doesn't clean up. So then if you are running out of storage and so on, one place you can go and delete the temp folder. Okay. The files in the temp folder. Right. So then the root directory is the super user or the admin user's home directory. Then dev directory can be used to mount CD drives and so on. So proc directory is used to represent running processes. Actually, it's not a folder, it's not a directory, it's a virtual directory. Virtual directory means it is not for to keep files and folders. It's for some other purpose, like all your running programs will be seen it as something in the proc directory, running process. Okay. And media or the MNT folders are used to mount hard disk, SSD, and so on. Okay. And we already discussed about var. Sorry, not var, right? So var directory is to keep not temporary files, files with keep change, right? So TMP is temporary files. var folder or var directory, files that keep changing, especially log files, and also printer spool files, right? Varying files, like log files are keep when you use the program servers, it will keep adding entries. So those are usually in the var folder. So that is the difference between temp and var. Okay. So temp folder, temporary files, but these are serious files like important log files. But time to time, you may need to back up these files as well, because otherwise, when you keep adding log files, it will be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Right? So as part of the system administrator's task is time to time visit the var folders and clean up or take those log files and so on to backup and make it again fresh. But temp folder, maybe time to time you can go and delete. But here don't delete, maybe you can backup. So then you have the etc folder, some configuration files, right? So there are some important subfolders and files like passwd, that is all the user details are there. fs tab, okay, containing the device mounted device related details. etc host, it's like your local DNS. Remember in Windows also there's something for system32 etc network, where the host file you can have your DNS entries. I don't know whether you have used those things. You can map localhost into a domain name so that you can type abc.com rather than localhost. So same functionality is available in etc host file. You write your open local DNS entries. Then init.d contains script that start various system services at boot time. All these things they ask time to time. Okay. So therefore, these things are very serious. And they don't stick with their notes. That is another important thing. Don't think that you just read the UCSC notes and pass this. No, definitely not this subject. You need to refer to the reference book, learn some common commands, right? Especially this subject. But if you take something like security subject, so they are pretty much strict with the syllabus, like security subject. Maybe it's for some extent entrepreneurship and management, but definitely not this subject. Okay. Right. So now you must have a reasonable understanding about the files, folders, important locations in the file system. And we will be using some of these folders time to time. Right. Use and group management. So as I told you, when you install your operating system, it create one particular user. So in my case, I name it Nalaka. And also it create a group. Every user belong to a group, user group. So by default, when you create a user without a group, it create a group also with the same name. For example, in my case, username is Nalaka, a group name is Nalaka. But so that is because I created it at the installation time. But now using command line, you can add groups, you can add users using these commands. Okay. Right. So if you want to add a group, the command is group add. Remember, group working with groups, you working with users is an admin task. So therefore, you need to use sudo. ඒක ටිකක් වෙලා ඇඟටම තේරෙනවා. මේක admin task එකක් නවා නිකම්ම sudo ගහලා තමයි ගහන්න ඊට පස්සේ. Right? So therefore, if you use enter this without sudo, you will get error. Okay. And so let's do it as a practical thing as well. You can also do it, right, if you have already installed Ubuntu or whatever. Right. Group add. If I just type group add, okay, say same, I will call it Aurora group. You can see permission denied because group add is a admin command. So therefore I need to type sudo. Or you need to create a admin user and switch to that user and do this. But I'm using the same user, but now I type it sudo. So now it asks the username, the password for not the admin password, my password, the normal username password. Okay, in my case it is not. So now it must be successful. So now there must be a group called Aurora group. Okay, so you can check what are the groups and so on. I will explain it later. Okay, like group pet. Okay, and if you want to delete a group, group del, like group del. And of course, it must be a valid group. Okay. Say sudo group del. For example, now if this is not a valid group, it will give me an error, say, because there's no group called group one. It says there's no such group. But if I delete one because there's a group called Aurora group, it should delete it. So no message means success. Right? No message means success. Right? Group add, group del. So likewise, you gradually build those competencies. Okay. Right. So as I told you, we have two types of users, the super user and the normal user. So normal users can assume some of the super user or the admin users privileges if you use it with the sudo, but not every user can do this. If your user is in the sudo group, then only you can use the sudo. Okay. And of course, when you create a user, if you want, you can add it to the sudo user group. Right. So now how to add a user? Earlier, how to add a group? Use add and your username. Or use add minus the group name and then the username. So if you edit like this, without the group, automatically a group will be created with the same name. So that means use add ABC means username is ABC, group name is ABC. But if you want to add it to a different group, of course, the group must have been created earlier than the username. So then this username will be belonging to this particular group. Okay. Right. So let's add a user. I'll say sudo because it's an admin command. User add say Nalaka. Okay, Nalaka is already there. Now I'll say Nimal. So that is user Nimal, group Nimal. Now remember, so I deleted this Aurora group. I will re-add the Aurora group. Group add Aurora group. Now I will create another user, sudo use add, say Kamal minus G Aurora group. Because that group is already there. Okay. Sorry. First you need to give the group, then only you can give the username. Right. Use add minus G means group is Aurora group, which I have already created. And the username is, let's say, Kamal. Now the user Kamal is created, and that user is added to the Aurora group rather than a separate group called Kamal is created. Here, separate group called Nimal is created. But here, Kamal is added to the Aurora group because I say added to the Aurora group. Okay. Right. So once you create a user, it doesn't mean that you can use it. Right. For example, now I have a user called Kamal. So this is how you switch user. SU, the new username, Kamal. But now let's see what happens. It has password, but we have not set a password. So therefore, we can't use it. Okay. So therefore, whenever you create a user, to make that user account usable, make sure you set a password. So how to set a password? Just use passwd and the username. Okay. So let's say it's a sudo command again because it's admin task. Sudo passwd say Kamal. Remember Kamal belong to Aurora group. Now it asks the new password. I just say Kamal because I forget otherwise. And it says bad password and it says shorter than 8 and blah, blah, blah. So therefore I just use that longer password, say 1QA say 2WS6 ampersand. 1QA say 2WS6 ampersand. Say 2WS6 ampersand. Right. So password updated. Now I should be able to switch to command. Okay, so let's say SU command. Now it will ask the password. 1QA say 2WS6 ampersand. Now I am in the command. Now if I type who am I? Who am I? It is command. It is no longer now. So we created a user, right? Called Kamal, belonging to the Aurora group. And now we log in. Same terminal. Just SU, switch user, username, then it will ask the password. Okay. Right. So that is how now this Kamal user can't use sudo because Kamal user has not the sudo privilege. If you want, you can later add sudo privilege to Kamal user by something like Nalak user because Nalak user has sudo privilege. Okay. Right. I'll get it back to Nalak user. back into the null user because null user has the sudo privilege. Okay. So this is how you add sudo access to a particular user. User mod minus say capital G sudo, then the username. So then that user also has the, of course, that you need to give using your sudo user, like in my case, null user. So then if I do this to the Kamal user, then Kamal user also have the sudo privilege. Okay. So you must know these because these are very basic things that we need to do. So the examiners are really assume that you know these things because usually when we create a user, most of the time we need to give that user sudo privilege. Okay. And of course, it is also a sysadmin task. Therefore, you must run that command also using sudo. Okay. So user mod minus a capital G sudo to that user. Okay. So that is you are giving that privilege. Right. I don't want to give that to the command right now, but you can try it. Okay. And this is how you delete a particular user. User del minus R means recursively. Right. Okay. Then the username. So it will delete the, okay, let's see whether we can delete one of the user. Say sudo user del, let's delete command. User del minus R. Currently used by process because the user is used in this particular terminal. Okay, this particular terminal. That therefore, if I want to do that, I need to take a new terminal or maybe close this because this terminal itself we created that use. Okay, so let me create a new terminal. Still, the commands are available. Sudo user del minus R command. Like password for my current user that is now letter. Right. So now if I try to, okay, don't worry, these are warnings. So that means there are no temporary files to delete. Right in bar folder because the another user is deleted. It says nothing to delete. Okay, nothing to delete in these folders. Right. So now if I try to switch user to command, it says there's no user called command because we just deleted. Okay. So that is how you delete users. Right. So if you want to get details about users, so this is the way to go. Get ent pass wd. That will give all the user details, but not the passwords. But if you want to see the details of a particular user, get ent pass wd and the username. Okay. Of course. So let's use that also. Get ent pass wd. Sudo command. Get ent pass wd. That is, you can see there's a user called Nimal, user called Nalaka. Okay. So I just deleted the user called other one. Okay. Otherwise, that will also be there. Right. So this is the user home. And this is the bash, the default command line, and so on. Okay. This is Nimal. If I delete the Nimal user, this entry will not be there. Okay. And also, if you want to just look at that user only, you just say pass wd Nimal. Now you can see only that entry. And if you delete, this entry will not be there. If you delete the user. Okay. So if someone asks, where do you have the user details? Those things are in the pass wd file, right? Pass wd file. So basically, we access that file. Okay, access that file. And I think pass wd is in. I can't remember exactly where is that file. It should be. somewhere. I can't remember, right? You can refer to the internet and see where the file is, okay? And again, let's create that user and see whether that entry is pre-added. Right. So remember, we created user call, uh, user call Kamal. So let's recreate that user. Okay, you said minus the Aurora group Kamal. Okay. Now if I type the entry for Kamal, get the pass WD Kamal. I'm just looking at that entry. Okay. I can see Kamal and home is Kamal. Home is Kamal. And this X means the password. Of course, you can't see the password. Okay. Now the Kamal entry is there because I re-added the user called Kamal. So you need a bit of patience when you're doing this kind of technique. It's not very technical, just you need to remember and so on. Okay. And also if you get error, you need to do a Google search. You can search from chat GPT, right? So have that courage, have that patience, have that seriousness. Okay. Right. So if you want to see what are the groups, you can just type groups and the username. So then you can see the details about that particular username. Okay. Okay, let's see. Sudo groups. Sudo is a sudo command. Groups. Let's say Kamal. And this is not Kamal, Kamal. So you can see Kamal belong to Aurora group because we added it to the Aurora group. Then what about the Nalaka? Nalaka should be in a group called Nalaka because that is default way. Nalaka. You can see Nalaka's group is Nalaka. Actually, Nalaka belong to Nalaka admin, ADM, CD-ROM, sudo. You can see Nalaka belong to sudo group. So that is why I can run sudo commands. Okay, that is why I can. So you can see Nalaka user belong to all these groups. Right? LDAP admin and so on. Okay, because this is the user that we create by default in the installation. So it has been given a lot of privileges already. The very important one is sudo privilege. Right. As I told you, if you want separate root user, you need to create it separately. Right. So switch super user account. Okay. Super user account. That is called root access. Okay. Or super user access. So as I told you, if you need sudo access, your username must be in the sudo's list. Okay, sudo's list. So then only you can execute the sudo commands. Commands with sudo. Okay. So as I told you, using sudo command is better approach than logging using the super user or the admin user. Usually we don't create admin user because when you log in using admin user, it has all the privileges. And if there are viruses or something, so that's a very good opportunity for the virus to activate and delete files and so on. But when you use sudo and the command, advantage is you are only getting the privilege to do that task. Right? That is, you are not unnecessarily assuming privileges. So you get that admin privilege only to do that. Okay, so therefore, system administrators prefer not to log in using super user or root user, rather get the sudo privilege to your account and execute using that, because at a time you are only using that privilege. But the moment you create admin account, when the moment you log in, that session has all the privileges, which is sort of asking for troubles. Okay. Right, so these are some other modern access control mechanisms which are mentioned in your note, like pluggable authentication modules, curve rows, file system access control, Linux capabilities, and so on. Okay, so those are some advanced mechanisms to manage or the access controlling. Okay, and separate ecosystems can be used, and there are some mandatory access controlling, role-based access control, especially in databases and so on we use. Okay, so we can use all these things. Basically, the groups are also sort of roles. So when you assign added to that group, you get certain set of privileges. If you want to remove those privileges, you just remove that group from your user account. Therefore, we have better control. So the idea is don't give too many privileges. Give the minimum essential privilege that particular user needs. That is the philosophy of system administration or in general security. Give the minimum required privilege only. Don't give unnecessary privileges. Right. So next one is file and directory management. Anyway, you did part of this in semester 1 also under free and open source software. Right. So first of all, you must know how to create a file, how to create a directory, okay, and also how to move between different folders or directories which already we discussed, and how to edit, okay, using nano and BI. And using cat, you can view, you can't edit, but you can view the content, okay. Right, so let's do a small session. Yeah, right. Right, so I'll create a folder mkdir. Okay, mkdir. I will call it same file. I'll move on to that folder. cd same file. Print working directly, just to double check. Yes. So this is the easiest way to create a file. Now you know how to create a folder mkdir. How to create a file? Touch. Say file one. So it's not must to. It's not a must to have extension in Linux. Right? So you can just have a file without extension as well. Okay. Now if you type ls, right? If you type ls, then you can see it has file one. And if you need more details, ls minus l long. Right? So this is the user who created the file, and this is the group that this file belong to, because we belong to this. So remember, when I create Nalaka user, it has Linux has created a user also called Nalaka, and this is file creation time and so on. Okay. Right. So now if I want to edit, the easiest editor is Nano editor. Nano, this is usually available by default. Say Nano, my file name is file1. So it's a very simple editor. So let's add some text. Hello Ubuntu. Say line 2, line 3, 4, 5, 6. And then here you can see the shortcut below. Saving is Control O. Okay. Closing is Control X. So therefore, first I will say Control O. Save. It's asked whether to override the file. I will say enter yes. Then I say Control X. Right. So if you want to read the content, cat and file name, I can just type few letters and say use tab. So it's a reading the file. You can see hello Ubuntu line 2, line 3, 4, 5, 6, but you can't edit it. Again, if you want to edit, easiest thing is nano. File 1. Now again, you can go and edit it. Maybe you want to delete this. Again, Control O. Yes, Control X. Now if you cat it, now you can see line 2, line 3. And there's another editor called VI, and file 1, which is little bit difficult, and it's not as user friendly as the Nano, but anyway, if you prefer this, you can use this as well. Okay. So there, if you want to get rid of quit, you need to type escape colon Q. Okay, escape colon Q. Q means quit. That is when you are using VI, but Nano is easier. Okay. Right, so then I already explained you slash is the root, tidal wave is your home directory, dot is your current directory. Current directory is denoted by dot. Usually you don't need, but if you want to specifically mention, use the dot. Okay. So every file or folder or the directory has 3 types of privileges: user, group, and others. So user means the privilege for the file creator. Group level means privilege for the group of that file creator. Other means anyone not the user who create the file or group. So that is basically others privilege. Okay. So that is why you can see here when you say ls minus l, you can see set of privileges. Okay, so the first one is user, next 3 letters are for the group, the last 3 letters are for the others. Anyway, we'll get back to that later. Okay, get back to that later. So, and also D means it's a directory, not a file. Okay, right. So without going to a particular folder, if you want to list the items, you can do that. ls slash, that is list the items in root directory. List the item in root directory is bin folder. Right. So without going to the file or folder also, you can run some commands like ls. So as I told you, so these are, so this is blank means it's a file. If it is a folder, there will be D. And this is read, write, execution for the user. Read, write, but no execution for the group. Others, you have only read, no write, no execution. So the file owner user can read, write, execute. The group members can read, write, but no execute. Others can only read. So we can change these things. So remember, Linux is very high secure system. So it's really care about accesses, that what are the access for the owner, group, and others. Okay, and here hyphen means it's a file. If it is not hyphen, it will be D, that means it's a directory. Okay, and this is the owner of the file, size of the file, date of creation, and the file name. So at last you have the file name. Right? So you can see this when you type ls minus l on. Okay, otherwise you can see on the file name. Okay, so this is how you touch and read the file. So if you cat and your file name, if there's no such file, it will also create a file name. So that therefore you have 2 ways to create a file. Use touch command or cat command. Okay, cat greater than sign file. That also will create a file. Or just touch a file. Okay. Right. So using Nano, you can edit. Okay. Using cat, you can be. Right. So this is how you create a folder, mkdir. You can create multiple folders also. The multiple folders එකපාර හදනවද කියලා තමයි සමහර question එක යහන්නේ. කොහොමද හදන්නේ? Folders තුනක් එක command එකේ. Okay. So there you can use relative path or starting with slash. Space the next folder, next folder. Okay. And if you want to delete empty directory, rmdir, your directory. But if you have files inside, files and folders, then you must use rm minus r recursively, and then it will delete the folder for directory and all the subfolders and files as well. So it's very important. rmdir can be used only if it is empty directory. But if it is not an empty directory, you must use rm minus r. So those are very important questions for your exams. And I'm not going to do all these things as a practical because that will take a lot of time. But I just time to time, some commands I show you, some command you must try by yourself because you are in the final year now. Right. So then copy cp command. So this is the original file. This is the destination file. You can give a different name also. And with the path also you can give. And if you want to do interactively, use -i. So that will give you more details about the copying. Okay. So this is copy the content of file 1 to a particular directory or dir. Of course, you can use the path key. So this is a copy in the directory 1, right, to a directory 2. Okay. Or else if there's such directory, this will be copied inside this directory. So you must know all these things when you go for exams. Okay. So just do some, and there's nothing called rename. Okay. So renaming means basically you move objects. Okay. So that we will discuss later. Moving can be used to rename. There's no separate command for rename, but this is copying. So you can copy file to the same location also. Okay, let's do some practical example. Right. So now this folder, I have file 1. Say I will copy cp file 1 to file 2. That means there will be 2 files now. File 1 and file 2. And file 2 contains the content of the file 1. So let's cat it. Cat file 2. You can see it also contains the same thing because we just copy the file 1 to file 2. And let's create a folder mkdir, say temp. And I will now copy file 2 or file 1, cp file 1 to temp folder. Say dot slash dot slash temp. Okay, so I already created the temp folder. Now let's ls, you don't need to go to the temp folder, ls dot slash temp. And you can see there's file called file 1. Okay, current dot means current folders, slash temp means subfolder. Let's go to the slash subfolder cd temp. Now print working directory. Yes, I'm in the temp. Now if I type ls, yes, there's a file 1 because I copied. Okay. So for example, you can copy some content from some folder to some other folder. You don't need to go to that folder because both sides you can use either relative path or absolute path. Okay. So I have given you some examples. Okay, so this copy this file to this file in the same location, current folder. Copy this file to temp folder. Okay. So this is copying multiple files. So copy this to this folder. Say copy these files to this folder. And this file main.c and demo.h from current folder. So I think there's a typing mistake. Maybe we need another extension. Yeah, maybe live.c. I think there's a typing mistake. Okay. And copy those into home folders, project, backup folder. Okay. So there must be another typing mistake. Okay. And now it's okay. Sorry for that. Anyway, I will upload it again. And so this means copy all the files in the current directory to this particular folder. Okay, star means all. So copy all the doc files in the current folder to this folder. So R means recursively. When you copy a particular folder, if there are subfolders, files, copy those also. Recursively copy all the files in current folder to this folder. Okay. You must try those things. And also think of other practical scenarios. Maybe they can ask in the exam. So this is verbose. Verbose means while it copy those things, it will write it in the command line, but your operating system is doing. Like it will say, okay, copy in this file. This is with the verbose. Copy in this particular file in this current folder to this particular folder. Okay. So if you use I, that means interactive. Especially if you override a file, it will ask the confirmation. If you use interactive, otherwise it will just override. Okay. Minus V, minus I. So examiners are really interested about these additional options. So this is moving. So copy means the original file is still there, but moving means the original file is moved to that place. Okay. So this is how you rename, because there's no separate command for rename. If you want to rename, this is my original file name, other file name, it must be in the same folder, then file 1 become file 2. Okay. Of course, you can do it minus interactive manner. This is moving these 3 files to this particular directory. Of course, assuming that this directory exists. Okay, subdirectory. Okay. Okay, let's try to move set of files to our subdirectory. ls, so pwd. I'll get back to one level up. ls. So I have file 1 and file 2. Let's touch another file. Touch file 3 and file 4. Multiple files can be touched. Right. Now I want to move. Remember, say ls temp. It has only file 1. Now I want to move file 2, file. Okay, I want to move file 3 and file 4. mv file 3, file 4, temp folder. Now I am in the Nalaka folder. Okay. Temp folder. Now if I type ls temp, those are there. But now it should not be in my current folder. Right. Now we can see file 3 and file 4 is no longer there because I moved it to the temp folder. Okay. Temp folder. Right. So these are some other options, parameters. Minus f, minus I, minus u, minus v, verbose. So as I told you, renaming, there's no command. Just use the move command, old file name and new file name. That will effectively rename the file from file 1 to file 2. Okay. And if you want to remove a file, rm, your file name or set of files space. But if you want to remove a directory, if that directory contains files and subdirectories, it's a must you know. You have rm minus r because you will delete. Okay. So this remove all the files in the current directory. So this is delete all the files and directories in the current directory and there are subdirectories. Okay, so if you don't have -r, it won't delete subdirectories and its files, only the files. So if you want to delete files, directories, their files, use -r. Right, so then there's a concept called link. It's something like in Windows, we have shortcut. Okay. But this is slightly different from shortcut. So link is, as the name says, it's a link to another file. So there are two types of links, hard links and soft links. Okay. So soft link is a symbolic link, whereas hard link, it points to the same underlying inode. So we call it inodes in Linux. Okay. So in case you delete one file, it removes one link to the underlying inode. Okay. Right, so let's see how to create a link. So this is the idea behind. So this is your file, or this is your file, or this is the inode related to the file. So your hard link is directly referring to that inode, but soft link is not a direct reference. But this is hard links are direct references. So this is a comparison between hard link and soft link. Right? Just go through it. Right. So this is how you create a hard link. You use ln. This is the file name, and then say TP. Okay, hard link. Then when you type -l, you will see the link. And if you want to create a soft link, use -s also. Okay, -s. So let's create a hard link and soft link. ln, okay? ln. So let's type ls -l. So these are the three files available, file 1, file 2, and folder called temp. Now I want to create a link. Okay. So how to do that? ln file 1. I will call it file 1 l nk. Okay. So link to file 1 called file 1 lnk. So now if I type ls -l, right, you can see there's another file called file 1 lnk, but it's a hard link. It's a hard link to this. Okay, hard link to this. So therefore, if you cat file 1, so this is the content. Now let's cat file lnk. File 1 lnk. And you can see it also has the same content. Why? Because it's a hard link. Okay, it's a hard link. So I know this how internally Ubuntu look at files. It's like segments and blah, blah, blah in normal terminology. So I know this internally, the kernel level, how Ubuntu or the Linux, basically Linux, look at your files. Okay. Right. So this is how you create a hard link. ln, your file name and the link name. Okay. So this is how. And if you want to make it a soft link, use -s. ln -s, say file 1. Let's call it file 1 lnk or slnk, soft link, -s. Is it -s? Yes, minus s. Now let's type ls minus l. Right, you can see this file one slnk. It shows like this. It's a soft link. It's a soft link to file one. But this is a hard link to file. And again, if I cat file one, file one SLN, you can see the same content. So now my file LNK and file SLNK both refer to the file one, but file LNK is hard link, file SLNK is a soft link. Okay, soft link. Right. So then this is a very important topic. Almost every year there's a question from man command, manuscript. So manuscript is a text-based help system for the Unix and later Linux. Okay. Man command, manuscript. So if you want to get help about a particular command, use the man and the command name. Okay. And it has some sections like name of the command, synopsis, okay, formal description, description, example, see also, and so on. The sections can have paper. For example, you can type man, say something like RM. So it gives details about RM, remove files or directory. That is a name, then synopsis. What are the, how you, it's like syntax RM and set of options and the file. Okay. Then the description, some options, you have -f, -i, minus capital I, or minus interactive, and so on. And the author, reporting bugs, copyright notice, see also, and so on. Top මේ තියෙන section පවා අහලා තියෙනවා. එනවා මේ ගහලා බලලා තියෙනවද කියලා ඒගොල්ලෝ බලන්න. මොනවද තියෙන sections. So even author, copyrights, ඒවා section see also, synopsis, description, okay, options. Q to quit. Type Q to quit manuscript. Right. So then another very important topic, file system security. File system security. Now you must be able to create a file, copy, move, create links, okay, rename, those things. Now let's see the file security, because I told you that every file and directory has 3 levels of security. File owner, owners group, others. Okay. Right. So what are 3 levels of access? Read, write, execute. So if it is a file, read means you can read the contents like using cat command. And also you can copy the file. So pay attention to these things, okay? Read the file contents and copy the file. Write means you can modify, change the file contents. Execute means you can run it, like running a bat file in Windows. You can run it, like if you have a shell script or something, you must give that script execution power. Otherwise, you can't run it, execute the file, like a software. Okay. Read, write, execute. Sometimes you have all 3. Sometimes you have only read, sometimes read and execute, write and execute, or all 3. Again, it can be different for user, group, and others. For directories, read means can list files in the directory. That means you can use ls command to list files in the directory. That is read by read access of a directory. Because if you want to read a file, for that file you must have the read access. Just because the folder has read access, it doesn't mean that you can read files. But when the folder has read access, you can list it, list the contents. W means can delete files in the directory or move files into it. Execution means have the right to access files in the directory. Okay. Right, so this is how you give the permission. You may have seen this. So there are 3 here, another 3 here, another 3 here. So dash means, hyphen means that power is not there. So this is for the user, group, others. So this means for users, read, write, execute power is there. Group members, read, write, execute power is there. Others means you are not the user and also you don't belong to the group. So read, write, that means full privilege available to all. But this means only read, write available for all 3. This means only the user can read, write, execute. Group members can't do anything. Others can't do anything. Okay. For example, if you look at this one, and here you can see if you take the file 1, user can read and write. The dash means it's a file. L means it's a link. You can see it's a soft link. And D means it's a directory. Dash means it's a normal thing. For hard link also, it's dash. For soft link, it's L. For directories, it is D. So therefore, this is not privilege. This is whether it's a link for directory or file. So this is user can read, write, but no execution power. Group members can read, write, but no execution power. Others can read, but no write and execution power according to this. But what about this file? All can read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. Okay, so this one, read, write, execute for user, read, write, execute for group, read and execute, but no write privilege for others. So likewise, it can be different. And we can change those also. We can change. So either you can look at it like this, or there's another way to look at it. That is, you consider this as 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. You will read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. What about this 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0? This one is 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Then you can convert it to the base 10. So then this is 7, 7, 7. This is 2 and 4, 6, 6, 6. And this is 7, 0, 0. So either you can look at it like this, or you can look at it like this, or you can look at it like 7, 7, 7. In this one, it is 6, 6, 6. This one, it is 7, 0, 0. So you must be familiar with this notation as well. When you say 7, you must know that it is read, write, execute. When they say 6, read, write. When they say 5, read, not write, execute. R dash X, because that is 5. 3 means write and execute, no read. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know, okay? Right. So you can see that for different files and folders, there are different read, write, execution powers are there. How do they get different things? Okay. So let me delete all the files for the time being. RM, say -R, including the folders, current directory. ls -l. Still they are right. RM, let's say star. rm minus r. Now let ls, nothing is there. Folders, directories deleted, files are deleted. Okay. Right. So now let's create a file. Touch file one. Now let's see what is the default privilege. ls minus l. It is a file, not a directory. That is why hyphen. Read, write, no execute. Read, write, no execute. Read, no write, no execute. Okay. And how is it happening? Why is it by default? It is read, write, no execute. Read, write, no executes, and read. And let's create a folder also. mkdir. Let's say test. Now let's see what is the privilege for that. I will write it. For the file privilege is when I just freshly create rw hyphen r dash dash. For folder directory rwx r hyphen x, that is for others. So why is it happening like that? To understand that, you must understand what is mean by chmod, and also later on you must know what is mean by umask. Actually, you need to understand umask to do that. Okay. Right. So now let's see if I want to change. Right now, you can see that currently my files privilege is rw hyphen r hyphen. If I want to change this, you can use chmod command. And chmod command. You can use it for files or folders. And you can use the symbolic mode or numeric mode. Okay. So let's use numeric mode. So you know what is 400. 400 means what? 4 means 0, 1, sorry, 100. 124. 0 means 000. If I say chmod 400 of this one, so that means user can only read, others can't do anything. User cannot even write and execute. That means you change the privilege. So chmod 777 means it's 111. That means all can read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. Okay, let's do it. chmod file one. Say let's say 777. Okay, 777. That is read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute, power to all. I don't know whether I need sudo. Let's see. Maybe 777 you need space. chmod. Yeah, so the file must be the last parameter. Sorry for that. Okay. 777 must be here. 777 and the file. Okay. You don't need sudo. Now, if I type ls minus l, you can see read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. So similarly, if you type something like what about this? Say 7 3 2. What is the privilege now? 7 means for user read, write, execute. 3 means no read, write, execute. 2 means no read, write, no execute. 2 means 0, 1, 0. Type. Yeah. So you can see read, write, execute, that is 7. 3 means 0, 1, 2, that is 3. This is 0, 2, 1, that is 2. That means no read, write, execute. Okay, so I hope you got it. you just interpret as 3 digits by 3-bit binary into decimal. Okay, 3-bit binary into decimal. Right, so that is numeric mode. Or there's a symbolic mode. Sometimes it is easier. So there you refer to use as you, group as G as group, O as other. That is the first, second, third. And if you want to refer to all these three, you call it A, all. Then if you want to add the privilege, plus, remove, minus, assign, equal. Okay. Right. So when you do examples, you can identify. So what does this means? Change mode, all, remove, execution. So if a particular user or group or others have execution power, from all, remove that. Others are not touched. So this is for all, add read power. If you already have a read power, that is there. If it is not there, you add it. Okay. So what about this? Group and owner, add, read, and write. Okay. Group and others. O means others. Okay. So likewise, plus means add, minus means remove, equal marks means assign. Okay, assign. So let's do an example. So sometimes if you don't understand these things, you really mess up. Okay. Right, so let's say chmod. Say I want to remove execution write power from others. This is user, group, others. So how do we do that? Others minus write to which file? File 1. And chmod others O minus W file 1. Now let's type ls minus l. Now it must be dash dash dash. Now you can see it's dash dash dash. Right. Now I want to add everyone. I want to add read. Of course, read is already there for the user, but now I want to add read to the group and others. So I'll do that. All. Okay. Not others. All. All means what? A. Okay. A. A. Add. Read to file 1. So that means this one already have the read. Now group and others will get the read. Let's type ls. Right, now we can see group got the read, others got the read. Of course, already owner had the read, so therefore it is not touched. Okay. And similarly, you can assign something like equal. Let's say others equal. Okay. So let's say I want to change this to write and execute. That means 3, 1 and 2. Others 3. Now this read privilege will be lost because I assign it to 3. Right? Others 3, file 1. What is that? Others. Equal. What's wrong with that? Let's ask CH. What is error? from ChatGPT. ChatGPT. Now you don't need to worry. There are solutions, okay? Say chmod other equal 3 file 1. What is the issue? chmod 0 is that the permission value 3? 3 is not a valid permission value because 3 is not a valid binary value for this. Because 3 means no, 3 is 2 and 1, right? 2 and 1 is 3. Three digit octal numbers. Why is that? 3 means 0, 1, 1. 3 is not taken. Let's type something else, like 7 or something. All. I'll double check why this equal is not working because I have not added example for equal. I have added the example for minus plus, but not for equal. Okay, I will add an example for equal also. Okay, before I can anyone see the error? Can we give write and execute without read? I think that is possible. Let me check. But that is why I just gave 7 there. Right? 7. 7 means read, write, execute all. But I think that is possible. You can't read, but you can write. I think that is possible. Okay. That should be possible. Okay. Just double check. I think that is possible. Okay. But it looks like counterintuitive, but so there can be such situation. You can't write, but you can't read. Okay. I just double check. My gut feeling says that is possible. Okay. And I'll give you a separate example for equal because for some reason my equal one is not working. Okay. Right. So then if you want to change the ownership of a file, because when you create a file, by default, you are the, say, now I have created all these files using Nalaka login. So therefore, all these files and folders owner is that particular user. You can see user is Nalaka, owner is group is Nalaka. Okay. But if I want to give this access to different user and different groups, so that is where you have chgrp and chown, change owner, change group. Okay, change owner, change group. So if you want, you can just change the user. Chown can be used to change both user and group or just the user. So this is you change only the user. Chown, now the owner is user 1 for this file. So this is using chown, you can change the group also, but then use colon group. Okay. And if you want to change both user and group, still use chown. Now these files, user will become user 1, group will become this. Here you can use either colon or dot. So that means using chown command, you can change the user, you can change the group, or you can change user and group both. Right? But if you use chgrp, that you can use to change only the group. So therefore, usually you don't need the chgrp because changing the group on also you can do it using chown. But anyway, they have given two commands, chown, you can use owner, group, or both, The chgrp, you can use it to change only the group. Okay. Right. So let's we created the user earlier, right? The users from acquired. Right. So let's add a user. Right. So let's say user add group called someone. Okay, let's say group called A, user called BB. Okay, user call. Okay, I'll call it USR1, GRP1, so that I can change the user and group. Okay, right. So sudo password Nadaka, this is the sudo command. Right. So user one group is not there. Okay. So therefore, let's first add a group sudo grp is a group at. Yeah, group at grp1. Now I added the group. Now I will add the user again. Right. So the group one I will add user one. Okay. Is it first user then group or first group then user? With double check. Okay. Otherwise. Yeah, first group then user. Minus the group. Actually is wrong. ERP1 and USR1. So now I create a user called USR1 and I add that user to the group ERP1. Okay, and now let's change the ownership of this file to this user. And because I have file called file1, its user and group is nullable. Now I will change the ownership CHOWN. I'm giving it to group1 :no dot user1. So which file? File1. Okay, file1. Invalid user ERP1 user. Why is that? CHOWN user1 group. Maybe still my user is not enabled. Change owner CHOWN. It's user and group, right? Not group and user. User and group. That is the issue. User1 group1 USR1 dot colon GRP1. Right, now let's see. So change the ownership of this file to this particular user and this particular group. Maybe I need sudo. Okay, maybe I need sudo. Ownership not permitted can sudo gana. Right, now it worked. Now let's type ls -l. Earlier user and group was Nalaka. Now you can see its owner is USR1 and GRP1 is the group. Okay, so I change both user and group using CHOWN. Or if you want to just change the group, use CHGRP and CHGRP. Okay, CHGRP that you can try by yourself. Right, so the next concept is use a mask. Use a mask. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Right. So remember when we create a file or folder, let me get it back. Right. So remember when we create a file or folder, this is the default. Remember I wrote this. So let's delete everything and create another file. ls -n. So let's remove everything. rm minus star. Yes. I will type ls -n. Nothing is there. Now I will touch a file. Touch file 1 and also mkdir, say dir1. If I type ls -l, you can see the default, it is rw-r-hyphen. That is for file. For folder, default is rwx r-x. I just wrote it here because I'm going back to my Windows. So this is for, first one is for file. This is for file. And this is for directory. Okay. Right. So how do we get these default values? So that is, you can understand using the concept called umask or user mask. Okay. This is again mentioned in your syllabus, and they have asked this question over and over and over. Okay. Right. So this is how you understand it. So listen to this very carefully, otherwise you will completely miss it. So there's something called default access for file. So by default, access for a file is read W, read W, read W, RW, RW, RW. Default access for folder or directory is RWX, RWX, RWX. In other words, is 777. This is 666. Okay. So therefore, if you don't have a user mask, if you create a file, it must be RW hyphen, RW hyphen, RW hyphen. But you can see that when I create a file, it is not RW hyphen, RW hyphen, RW hyphen, rather RW hyphen, RW hyphen, R hyphen hyphen. If I don't have a user mask, if I create a directory, it must be read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. But what I got is read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, not write, execute. So why is it my files and folders have different default access for files and folders? So the reason is I created these files and folders using user called Nalaka, and user called Nalaka is a normal user. It's not a super user. For normal user mask is 002. For super user mask or umask is 022. But forget about this one because I created using Nalaka. So therefore, Nalaka users umask is 002. So therefore, why my files privilege is like this by default? Because it is default access minus user mask. 666 minus 002 is 6. You need to separate the subtract. Okay. 6 minus 06, 6 minus 06, 6 minus 2 is 4. So therefore, this is RW hyphen 4 means read. Remember, this is 1, 2, 4. Read hyphen. Now that is how I got this. Because I created using user called Nalak. Nalak is a normal user. And for folder, by default 777. But my umask is 002. Therefore, 777 minus 002 is 775. That is read, write, execute, read, write, execute. 5 means 5 means there's a small mistake here. So this must be what? 7 minus 2 is 5. 5 means what? 4 and 1. 1, 2, 4. It must be read, no write, execute. Now you can see it's correct here. It's a typing mistake here. It must be read, not write, execute. So let me fix that also. So that is why I just share it in the WhatsApp because I needed to fix few issues. So you can see 775 means 7 is read, write, execute, but 5 means read, not write, execute. So then 4 and 1 is 5. So that is why in my case, when I create a directory, it is read, write, execute, read, not write, execute. Correct, right? Because 775. But if it is super user, it will be 755 because default mask is 022 for super user admin user. Okay, but so that is how my default when I create a file and directory, I got this privilege for file and this privilege for directory. Okay, because umask for normal user is 002. So therefore, this minus 002 is this. 777 minus 002 is this. Okay, any questions? Because if you don't understand it, you get really confused. Okay, you get really confused. Right. So if you want to check what is the umask of your current user, obviously the umask of the current user must be 002 because I'm using my normal user. Let's see. Is it really 002? Let's type umask. Yes, it is 002. And if you want detail level things, umask minus capital S. Minus capital S. So that is read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, execute. That means read, not write, execute. That is correct, right? Read, write, execute, read, not write, execute. That is the default I get. That is because my umask is 002. But if you want, you can change the umask. This is the umask by default. For example, if you change to 000, then of course nothing to subtract. If your umask is 000, when you create a file, it will be having this. When you create a folder, it will be having this because 0, you subtract 0. Or if you have a different thing, then again you must subtract and see what is your default value. Okay, got it? Right, so this exercise you can do. Change the umask and then create a file and folder. Okay, create a file long folder. So this is how you create a umask. So this is setting umask to 000, or you can set it to anything. Okay. So if you set your umask to 000, then when you create a file, its privilege will be this. Or something else means say you set it to 222, then 666 minus 222 will be 444. Okay. 444. And at any time, you can set it back to 002. Okay. And do it as exercise. Change your umask and then create a file and folder and see whether it has got the correct one now. That is the default value minus your umask. Okay. So that is one way of setting umask. You just hard code your umask like this. Okay. Or you can add subtract privileges to umask. Okay. So this is file owner, the user's privilege we add right. This is for umask. Okay. So this is in the umask. If the user's privilege has the execution, we remove it. Group privilege is set to read. For others, we add write privilege. So this is, we are not changing the, for a file, we change the umask. So then when you create files and directories, your new umask is used. So that is default value minus your new umask. Okay. Then you say umask. That is my umask right now. Oh, read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, execute. I can say umask owner, sorry, others, add, write. So then everything must be read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. But I'm changing the umask, right? Not the file. Okay. Right. Now if I type my umask, okay, that is 000 because I add W. And if I type umask minus S, it will be read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. Now if I touch a file, touch, say file 2. Earlier, when I touch a file, I get something like this. Read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, not write, execute. Because earlier umask was 002. Now umask is 000. Now I must get read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute when I touch this file. My percent. Oh, why is that? Read, write, no execute, read, write, no execute, read, write, no execute. How can that? File 1. Ah, yes. For the previously it is read, write, no execute, read, write, no execute, read, write, no execute. But now I added write to the others. So therefore now others have write. Right? Others have write. Because this is the older file. No write access to the others. But now I added write access to the others. So therefore now you can see when I click, this file is created after changing the umask. Now you can see write access is there. Correct. Okay. Correct. So that is how you understand umask. Okay. Right. So rest of the stuff we'll cover next time because I need to add few more slides to this as well. So then we'll look at, now actually the bulk is done. Make sure you go through the UCSC note also. Okay. So the other topics are not that difficult. Okay. At least not that, not this lengthy. That is network administration, automating system. This is basically shell scripts, like bit of programming, and virtualization and cloud computing is just half an hour or maybe 1 hour's theory part. Okay. So once this is done, it's like syllabus is pretty much done. But this is another important topic. But the thing is, so we can do practically this topic, but I don't have the resources to do this topic practically. Of course, I am not expert in network administration. So therefore, I try to cover only the theory part here. But automating script systems or the scripting will cover practically again. And this one is not a practical thing. Anyway, we are all using virtualization, right, to run our Linux also. Only thing is this one, I am not an expert in this topic. So therefore, don't try to rely 100% on me for this. Try to do self-studies, right? Network administration, because there you need to configure routers, firewalls, and so on, okay? But I will explain you the theory part, okay? Right, so we stop at this point. Thank you.